Imagine being sent to death row, not once, not twice, but over and over again, while the same prosecutor keeps trying to build the same case against you. Curtis Flowers was accused of the 1996 murders of four people inside Tardy Furniture in Winona, Mississippi. What followed was one of the wildest legal sagas in modern true crime. Six trials, four convictions, two mistrials, decades on death row, and a Supreme Court ruling that said the prosecution's jury selection was racially biased. Then, after all that, the state eventually admitted it no longer had credible witnesses to try him again. If you're new here, hey boo, I'm JaeMarie, and true crime is my thing, but you'll also catch healing, family, fun, and even food around here, okay? So, boom, let's get into Curtis Flowers. Back in July 1996, four people were shot and killed at Tardy Furniture in Winona, Mississippi. Curtis Flowers was a black man from the area and a former employee of the store. He was arrested and accused of the murders. From there, the state did something almost unbelievable. They kept trying him again and again and again. His first trial ended with a conviction and death sentence, but that conviction got reversed because of numerous instances of prosecutorial misconduct. His second trial also ended in a conviction and death sentence, and that one got reversed too, again because of misconduct. His third trial ended the same way, but this time the Mississippi Supreme Court said the prosecution had discriminated against black jurors. Then, trials 4 and 5 both ended in hung juries. Finally, trial number 6 ended in another conviction and death sentence. And this is where it gets ugly. When the U.S. Supreme Court took up Flowers' case, the justices looked at the history across the trials and basically said that this was not random. The court said the numbers speak loudly. Over the first four trials, there were 36 black prospective jurors. The state could have struck, and the state tried to strike all 36. The court said the prosecutors showed a relentless, determined effort to rid the jury of black individuals. This is brutal language coming from the highest court in the country. And what the Supreme Court found here is what's called a Batson violation, which is when a prosecutor removes jurors because of their race. And they said this wasn't just happening once, it was a pattern across multiple trials. This pisses me clean off. The Supreme Court overturned the sixth conviction in June 2019. A few months later, in December 2019, Curtis Flowers was finally released on bail after nearly 23 years behind bars, most of that time on death row. Now, here's the part people really need to sit with. After all those years, after six trials, after repeatedly insisting they had the right man, the state ultimately dropped the charges in September 2020. And they didn't do it because they suddenly wanted to be noble. They did it because prosecutors told the court there were no key prosecution witnesses left who were alive, available, and free of multiple conflicting statements. In plain English, after all that, the case was too weak to retry. That dismissal meant Curtis Flowers would not face a seventh trial. It also meant the 1996 murders were left officially unsolved. In 2021, Mississippi was ordered to pay Flowers just $500,000 for his wrongful imprisonment, which was the maximum allowed by state law. That's bullshit. But even that came out to just $50,000 a year for 10 years after nearly 23 years of his life that were taken. Later reporting and the National Registry of Exoneration say he also filed a federal civil rights lawsuit in 2021, and that case was later settled for $300,000. And the fallout did not fully stop there. A separate lawsuit aimed at stopping Doug Evans from future discriminatory jury strikes was dismissed, and the Fifth Circuit affirmed that dismissal in 2022 on standing grounds. Evans retired in 2023. Then in 2025, a complaint was filed asking the Mississippi Supreme Court to suspend his law license over the misconduct in the Flowers case. So even now, this case is still part of a bigger accountability conversation. This case feels like a perfect example of what happens when the prosecutor, who's trash, gets attached to being right instead of being fair. At some point, the mission can stop being justice and turn into ego, image, and winning at all costs. And when race is layered on top of that, the system becomes even more dangerous because now the courtroom is not just deciding guilt, it's deciding who gets treated like they belong there in the first place. That is the part of this case that should disturb everybody. The legal record itself shows reported misconduct findings and repeated concerns about Black jurors being pushed out. Bob Evans is trash once again. He should have been held more accountable for that. Um, I hated hearing this because it was like he honed in on one person and just knew he had to get him and just kept trying and trying. I've never seen anything like this. And this man spent all this time in jail and wasn't even convicted and stayed there. I don't like it. Y'all kept saying you had the right man, but after 6 trials and decades of this man's life gone, suddenly the witnesses aren't credible enough. That's exactly why people don't trust the system. You can watch and learn about this case. The strongest source to mention is In the Dark Season 2. It was a podcast by APM Reports. That investigation dug deep into the evidence, witness issues, and trial history, and it helped bring national attention to this case. Do y'all believe that this was ever really about finding the truth, or did it become about protecting the prosecutor's ego and state's reputation? As always, stay safe, stay informed, and don't forget to follow for more deadly doses like this one. Love you. Bye.